Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, then I'm so happy to meet you. If not, then welcome back. As always, please give this video a big thumbs up if you like the sounds of it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on your notifications bell and you will get notified each time I have a new upload. If you find this video helpful, then share with somebody else that also might find it helpful. As always, feel free to comment down below and keep the conversation going. But as always, keep the comments kind and respectful. Okay, let's get into it. So, as you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be going through some outdated language around autism. I've been seeing lots of articles and posts and things like that recently, and I see so much outdated language. And it really frustrates me. So I'm going to go through some of it today. I hope that people might learn something from it. I hope that people don't take this up the wrong way. Correct language is important. I feel it's really, really important. And I feel it's so important to just move away from outdated language, views, everything like that. So to get started, I'm going to start with identity first versus person first language. So first of all, identity first will be if I say I am autistic. Person first will be if I say I have autism. Now, first of all, I want to say if an individual wants to say I have autism, that is absolutely fine. I am not saying to anybody that you can't use the language that you want to use to describe yourself. What I am saying is generally what we like to say is to say I am autistic, okay? And that is identity first language. And that is because it is essentially part of our identity. It's not something we carry on. It's not an add-on. It is part of our identity. So I would say to people out there that when they're talking about an autistic person, that they do bear that in mind, that they use identity first language. I think sometimes people think that they're being more respectful by using person first language, but that's not the case. I know that over the years, person first language was what was most commonly used, so I do understand that. But I want to make it clear that within the community, the general consensus is to say I am autistic, unless an individual says otherwise. So moving along then to high functioning, low functioning. So functioning labels. Forget these. Autism is a spectrum, and everyone on that spectrum has different support needs. We're all individual. There's no such thing as a category for low functioning and high functioning. You would never describe a neurotypical person as high or low functioning, as it is insulting. And it ties in with also saying mild autism or severe autism. Again, it's dividing the community. It's putting them into two separate groups. And I think function labels and saying mild or severe can be very damaging to autistic people. As I said, you wouldn't describe a neurotypical person as high functioning or low functioning. Autism is a spectrum. That brings me on to the next one, and that is Asperger's. I have done a video on Asperger's and why we don't use that term anymore, so check that out if you want, but I will talk briefly about it. First of all, like I say with identity first and person first, if an individual wants to say they've Asperger's because that was the diagnosis they were given, then that is fine. However, Asperger's is no longer a formal diagnosis, okay? And also, I feel like some people in the community felt that Asperger's put a divide in the community. It's a little bit like high functioning. It's like putting people up there saying they're different to the rest of us autistic people. And that is why the community has moved away from it. Another reason is, of course, a lot of people have probably heard about where the term Asperger's come from, and that is Hans Asperger's, who was a doctor during World War II who had links with the Nazis. I'm not going to go into that too much. I have done a video on it, but that is why we've moved away from it. But as always, you know, if someone wants to refer to themselves as having Asperger's, that's absolutely fine. But the general public, I feel, should stay away from that term. Next up is non-verbal. I see this so often, people described as non-verbal. Non-verbal makes it seem like somebody can't communicate at all. This is not the case. What we prefer to say is non-speaking. So that person can't communicate by speaking, but they can communicate in other ways. So that's why we don't use the term non-verbal, because it does give the impression that an individual can't communicate at all. ASD. We hear this one a lot, particularly I feel in like school settings and things like that. ASD is mentioned a lot. This is a slur, okay? Let's just be honest. We're not disordered. Autistic spectrum disorder, we are not disordered. We do not have a condition. We just have a different brain type. So I would say steer clear of ASD. Just say someone's autistic. Just say autism. We don't need to add all this jargon to it. Next up, and I want to talk a little bit, this is not exactly language, but it's something that I've come across a bit, and that is othering. And when I say that, I mean like, it's like if people try to make autism out to be some sort of a tragedy. And I've seen that in particular in articles and things like that recently, where autism is made out to be this huge tragedy and this huge burden on a family and this really negative thing, and encouraging parents and families to grieve that child. And I always think that's a load of bull crap. You don't grieve a child that's alive. That don't make sense. And so that othering is really harmful to the community. Like, you know. And another type of othering is this thing of autism as a superpower. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, well, that's positive. And whilst I'm sure it's meant in a positive way, positive othering is still othering, okay? It implies that we need to be exceptional to be acceptable. Superpowers are superhuman. They aren't for people. We are people. Autistic people are just people who need to be treated with respect. And I think that's when I go through the outdated language today, and also mentioning that, you know, the othering with the tragic narrative, it boils down to respect. Because I see so many people who have this thing where they insist on using outdated language. They insist on saying, you know, people like me are wrong or whatever, to be talking about language or outdated views. But it does boil down to respect, and it boils down to listening to a community. What do a community want? What does that community feel is important? And if we feel language is important, and we feel stepping away from outdated language, outdated views and stereotypes is important, then that is important. So I hope that if you've watched today's video, that you've learned something from it. I hope that you might come away from this and think a little bit more about the language that you use. If anybody wants to comment down below saying they've learned something from today's video, that would be great. Or also, if you're like myself and you're autistic and you want to say something that perhaps I missed in regards to outdated language that annoys you, then please do comment down below. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video. I just want to say thank you to everyone who supports my videos. It is so appreciated. Thank you so much. I am truly grateful, and I really enjoy making these videos. So thank you very much, and I shall see you in the next video.